Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Anton, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. Today, I believe today is the final day of spoilers. We have our final champion as well. By the time this video goes up, I think the actual set will be coming out in a few hours, like 3 or 4 hours, maybe 2 hours, whatever. But today is the last day. We have our final champ. We have Vayne and a bunch of DEMACIA cards. It turns out, apparently, we're just not getting a new keyword, and we're not getting any new mechanic. Kind of disappointed by that. Riot themselves did print like a patch note thing, like posted on their website, and on top of that, they're nerfing Nami, so that's great. So I got one of my wishes, my biggest wish for this new set, and that was just Nami nerf. But the new mechanic with Seraphine is the quote unquote new thing, even though we've already had it, and they themselves are like, yeah, it's not technically new, but we're adding support to it. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But Vayne. Vayne is, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think Vayne's kind of boring. Enough talking though, let's actually go look at Vayne and all these DEMACIA cards. So, before I talk too much about my problems with Vayne, we should actually read what she does. So, Vayne is a 3-mana, 3/4 Demacian champ, of course. Also pretty cool that it seems like they used her Sentinel skin as the main outfit, which is, I don't know, has lore implications or something here. But what does Vayne actually do, besides having just solid stats for her cost? When she's summoned or round starts, create a tumble in hand. Or if you have one, reduce its cost by 1. Okay, well, let's look at tumble a little later. How do we level up Vayne? She has to see you attack 4 times. Okay, I feel like this is a rarity. A champion that doesn't level in your deck. Interesting. She has no keywords, so that kind of sucks because she wants to see you attacking, and she doesn't have a keyword herself, so she's actually it's kind of hard for her to attack herself then. But let's look at what Tumble does. I almost said Rumble. I actually like that Rumble's getting some support this set. So Tumble. Tumble is a 3-mana slow spell. Okay. Equip an ally with an equipment in hand that costs 2 or less, and it starts a free attack. You know what costs 2 or less? A lot of weapons that cost 2 or less? Darkened weapons. You know what's in Demacia? It's also a darkened weapon. Darkened Aegis. That card's pretty good. So yeah, I think Tumble is really good. Also, with the way it's worded, I'm pretty sure it means even if a unit doesn't have a attack, or you don't have an equipment to attach to it, you can still choose a unit and start a free attack anyway. Kind of like the Fallen Reckoner spell. So that's pretty nice. 3 mana is a lot of mana, but she does discount it, so that is pretty sweet. Now, what does leveled up Vayne do? 3 mana, 4/5. So she gets +1/+1. Okay. Standard champion level up. When I'm summoned or round start, create a 0-cost Tumble in hand. Okay. If you have one, though, reduce its cost by 3, which would probably bring it down to 0. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, first off, I think that's strong. I think overall Vayne's kind of bland. Before we talk too much about her, we should also mention her champ spell. Condemn. 6 mana, fast spell. Ally strikes an enemy. Very simple. It's not a single combat style strike. They don't fight each other. Just whatever you target strikes, and that's it. If you've attacked 2+ times this round, I cost 1 less. So you want to combine this with like Scouts, Golden Aegis, you know, rallies. Vayne's Tumble is the obvious synergy here with Vayne herself. So pretty solid removal spell here. I think it's really good. Would I play this main deck? Maybe. I still just think single combat is better. A long time ago, like really long ago when it basically first came out, Scouts actually did play some strike spells. I don't think Scout decks would play strike spells, so outside of Scout decks, I don't really see another deck that would play this main deck. Like, maybe Vayne herself will play it main deck. But yeah, I don't think like a Golden Aegis deck will play this. I think a deck with Scouts will play this, maybe, if they want this effect. But as for Vayne herself, I'm gonna be honest with you, she's just kind of boring. Like, I'm not saying she's bad. Don't get me wrong, I do not think Vayne is a bad card. I think she's actually a pretty good card. I just think she's boring. She's like, her level up doesn't really do much. Her level up's just like, yeah, those tumbles I make, they're now 0 mana. That's it. Like, she's still pretty much doing the same thing. It's just she goes and does her thing a little faster now. Also, not having a keyword is a little bit of a letdown, but it seems like she wants equipment. Maybe like a quick attack equipment, whether that's from actual equipment or from an improvised equipment. I do like her though. She kind of reminds me of a little bit. She reminds me of Riven, just a little bit better. Both from the same stat line and cost, but also the fact that I feel like she kind of wants to be a backline champion and only attack or block if she's relatively safe. Like attack if she's safe or block if you just need the blocker. So yeah, I feel like she's going to be played more like Riven is played when Riven actually sees play, and just sit in the back line, give you a little value. You know, Riven sits in the back line, gives you fragments every now and again. Vayne sits in the back line and starts to discount your tumbles. And then you're going to tumble to equip something or, you know, get some good cheeky attacks, maybe with some scout units. But yeah, I like that she also doesn't seem like she's in one archetype. She seems like she has a lot of decks she could go in, a lot of champs she can pair with. I think her followers are very, very equipment synergistic. And her herself kind of because of tumble. So you can go with like Vayne Jax. The problem with that, in my opinion, is that means you're playing Jax, and I think Jax decks are kind of just bad, especially after the timelines nerf. I feel like it's better just not to go too heavy on equipment synergies, so I don't think Ornn would be a good idea either. I think you just, you know, play a standard DEMACIA strategy, maybe player in Scouts. I don't know if you would play this in Scouts though, like Quinn's solid and MF is just one of the reasons you play Scouts. I think with how it's worded, Tumble does target the unit. I don't see why Tumble wouldn't target the unit that it's basically giving a free attack to. So, Fated, Pantheon, Pantheon Fiora, Pantheon DEMACIA is a pretty good deck right now. Pantheon DEMACIA is not getting any nerfs right now. So, perhaps we can put in Vayne over Fiora in the Pantheon deck. Like, Fiora mostly in that deck is just a 4-mana 4/4 challenger. I kind of like Vayne better. And then Fiora in that deck, she helps you get more Fated triggers. The free attack's pretty solid too with Overwhelm stuff like Pantheon himself or Camphor. So I like it. Also like maybe some like OTK stuff, or just like not necessarily OTK, but just lots of heavy damage in one turn kind of decks. Like Hollowed seems solid. Something like the old Riven decks, like Riven Victor used to be a thing. So, you know, like Riven Vayne, you buff up your units with Riven's fragments or whatever, maybe an elusive, and then you use Vayne and her tumble to basically strike twice. But yeah, there's a lot of deck building possibilities with Vayne, in my opinion. I'm probably not going to play her. She's just not my playstyle. Like, I'm just like, oh boy, a Demacian champion that can give you free attacks. I've seen this before. I think I actually called this, but the day before we saw Vayne, I was like, I bet Vayne's going to give free attacks somehow. Because I think half the Demacian champs do that now with the addition of Vayne. You know, like Lucian, Galio, Quinn, kind of, etc., etc. Garen. But yeah, as for her overall power level, I think she's fine. I don't think she's OP. I've seen some people saying this card's OP and needs a nerf. I don't see that at all. I don't see Vayne being OP. Like, this is not like Kai'Sa level. I think Riot has learned their mistake with the Kai'Sa release, where Kai'Sa was very, very obviously pushed very heavily, and it kind of just ruined the meta for a long time until they nerfed her and she was still really strong. But yeah, I think all the champions, not just Vayne, are just solid. Like, Vayne seems strong. Seraphine's, I think, strong too. Might have a little problem with deck building with Seraphine. Varus seems okay. He might get held back because Runeterra champion usually is a negative, in my opinion, nowadays. But yeah, I like her. I think she, overall, good card. Next up, what do we have? So that's Vayne, basically. Overall, solid card. So yeah, we talked about Vayne. We talked about her champ spell. I guess we should talk. We already talked about Condemn, so I'm gonna I'll just go over it again really quickly. Not really sure you would play this in any decks, like maybe Scouts, maybe Golden Aegis decks, but I really just think this is more of a champ spell kind of only card. Maybe Vayne decks herself would play it main deck, like a Vayne Pantheon deck I could see playing this, but I think most of the time you would just play single or even concerted strike over this. It's a really powerful effect. Like, that's the thing. It's so powerful. 1 mana strike something is really good. So if you can keep activating it multiple times over and over, I think it's strong. And then for her followers, we got a lot to go through here. Widowed Huntress. 4 mana, 3/3 Challenger. Okay, we've seen these cards before. I think there's actually a Noxus card that's a 4 mana, 3/3 Challenger. It doesn't see play because it's not that good. What's this card actually do? When you play Widowed Huntress, okay, equip me with an equipment that costs 2 or less from hand. I like it. I think this is fine. You can equip her with like a quick attack equipment, just a solid stat stick equipment. I think it's a solid card. I don't know though, like I just don't see myself playing too many of Vayne's followers in Vayne decks, if that makes sense. I just don't think going equipment heavy is the way to go. I will say this though, maybe it is, maybe I'm underestimating it because, you know, this is a Demacian equipment and I really think Geralt is really strong. I think the Dark Ages itself is a great equipment. It's very solid equipment. And Geralt himself is just really powerful. Both screwing over your enemy spells, not affecting your spells, makes open attacking that much better. And then, of course, Challenger on top is even nicer, alongside Tough. So yeah, maybe because of Dark Ages, you'll play all of these followers. I still don't think you should play Golden Spatula, but you could consider playing Golden Spatula like Acathian Mitts in the deck too, but I don't know, like you play like turn 4, you have 2 mana, you play Acathian Mitts, put Golden Spatula in your hand, play Widowed Huntress, you have a 4 mana, what, 6/5? It's 3/2, right? Yeah, you have the 4 mana 6/5 Challenger, like that seems nice. The problem with that is that's 2 cards and 6 mana for a 6/5 Challenger, which is not terrible, but not amazing. And our next card. Kind-Hearted Recruit. 5 mana 5/5. When I'm summoned, give equipped allies barrier this round. This, I don't know. This card is hard for me to evaluate. I think the card, if equipment is good, this card is good. Very solid payoff for putting equipment on a lot of your units. I mean, you should know by now, barrier is just a very powerful keyword. Also, the unit itself has good stats for the cost, so I think the card is very fine. Like, it's just like a lot of these cards, I feel like it's just tied to how good playing a lot of equipment is, and just how consistently you can just get barrier on units that matter, you know, like challengers. I don't know, I mean, like the curve is like what, turn 4 Widowed Huntress, turn 5 Recruit. That seems solid. You just need to find equipment somewhere, right? And next up, what do we have? Zealous Ranger Knight. 2 mana 2/3. Okay, solid stats for the cost. Attack, give equipped allies +1/+1 this round. I feel like the problem with this card is it's only going to get 1 attack off. It's only a temporary buff, so yeah, like, I don't know. Like, that's the thing, it's just okay. It's not amazing, it's not terrible, it's just solid. That's fine. But yeah, 2/3, like, sure, the 3 health is nice, so it survives things like Mystic Shot and Avalanche, but I don't know. It's not, I don't think it even needs a buff or any kind of, or anything. It just feels like it's not doing enough for me to want to play it. I mean, like, there's better 2-drops I would rather play, I feel. Maybe I'm just not giving this guy enough credit. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I just think there's better stuff you can be doing, even in an equipment deck, than playing this guy on 2. I guess you could also argue you just don't play him on 2, you play him later. And our next card, we're actually talking about Camphor a bit. This is kind of like Camphor. You know, the 6 mana follower that ties your... That's just like, you know, the 6 mana epic, that's just the big thing. Blood-Cursed Harpy. 6 mana 6/4 Scout. Play. Equip me with an equipment that costs 2 or less from hand. Okay, solid. First time I would die while equipped, fully heal me and destroy the equipment instead. I kind of like that. It's like a Tryndamere. Like, I'm looking at this card and I'm like, this is a Tryndamere. Like, she beats down really hard. Like, with Scout, you get to attack twice. She's probably going to have another keyword too, thanks to the equipment. You know, you put on, like, Overwhelm, like a Official Whack on this. If she dies, so what? She'll just revive herself, most likely, and then you can attack again if you want. So, I really like the card. I think it's a very solid, powerful card. Might be a little too slow, is the problem, but I don't know. I think it's got an okay stat line, and it's kind of hard to evaluate it by just stats alone because, you know, you're definitely going to put equipment on this. If you're playing this and you don't have equipment on it, or you don't have equipment to put on it, something's gone wrong. And you're probably just playing it because you're just like, okay, I just need a unit. But yeah, I think the card is pretty solid. Scout is a very good keyword. Basically getting an extra life is very powerful, and it helps put on a lot of pressure. So yeah, big fan of this card. Next up, last couple of cards. I like this card. Steadfast Elkin. 1 mana 2/2. Okay. First time I see an ally equipped, grant me tough. I like it. It's basically 1 mana Cythria, no elite tag, and let's be honest, elites are kind of a joke. But instead it can get tough, and it's not, I don't think it's going to be hard for this to get tough, because is your opponent really going to waste a solid removal on a 1 mana 2/2? Like, are they going to Mystic Shot this? I doubt it. So yeah, I like this card. Just solid early game unit, helps you get on the board, fights decently well. You could equip it itself too, and it'll get like whatever the equipment stats are and keywords, and tough as well. So it definitely holds equipment decently. So I like this card. I think it's pretty solid, pretty good overall. Don't know how many you would play though. Like, do you play this over Fleet Feathers, I guess? I don't know. Like, how do I want... The early game slot in DEMACIA is starting to get like a little crowded. You've got Fleet Feathers, you've got now Steadfast Elkin, you've got Petricide Broadwings, Brightsteel Protector. Even though it's been nerfed, it's still good. So on and so on and so on, right? But I think this card is good if you're playing enough equipment. Tough is a really good keyword, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And our last couple of cards. First off, Faithful Wolf Dog is a very good boy. He is also a 3 mana 2/3 that says if an ally died this round, I cost 2 less, so it can be a 1 mana 2/3. Okay, pretty solid. Bad stats for the cost is a 3 mana 2/3. What else does he do? Play equip me with an equipment that costs 2 or less from hand. Okay, just what a lot of the other cards doing, but that's it. Just gets a little bit bigger. I think it's fine. Like, DEMACIA doesn't do it too much, but it's not like a big synergy, big identity of DEMACIA decks, but they do have like this, every now and again they get this synergy of like, if things die, you get a thing. Like, between that one card that just like the 3 mana 3/3 that draws a card if something died, the 6 mana spell that gets discounted by 1 for every unit that died that summons a random 5-drop. I don't know if there are any others. I guess Dawn Speakers is another one. It's like a 3 mana 1/4, I think, that if something died at the end of your turn, all of your units get +1/+1. So yeah, it's a uncommon DEMACIA thing, but there's precedence. Would I play this card though? Maybe. I worry though with all these cards that want you to have equipment in hand. I feel like it might just be a little too clunky, and you might just be struggling to have the equipment in hand. Like, maybe that's why we'll play a Cathian Mist, just so we know and we'll be able to have equipment in hand. But yeah, like, we'll definitely have Darken Aegis in the deck. Like, the Vayne decks that's playing these followers will definitely play 3 Darken Aegis, I think. So that's already 3 equipment. Maybe you play like Combat Cook too for a little improvised stuff as well. Icathian Mist. I don't think you would play DEMACIA and seal the 1 mana 1/1 equipment, but maybe. I think that's a little too much. But yeah, I think it's fine. I think there's definitely a balance here. Widow Huntress, I think it's okay. Kind of hard to recruit if you want to go more heavy on the equipment synergy is solid. I think Zealous Ranger Knight's a little just not good enough. I like Blood Cursed Harpy as just some solid top end. Steadfast Elkin gets you on the board quickly. Faithful Wolf Dog just helps smooth out the curve. And our last card, Fish Fight. Speaking of improvised weapons, it's Fish Whack. What does Fish Fight actually do? 2-mana slow spell. DEMACIA only card. This feels like it should be a Weapon Master card in all honesty, but it's not. An ally and an enemy strike each other. Or an equipped ally strikes an enemy, then is unequipped. So if you don't have any equipment, it's a slow speed single combat. Okay, I like that there's like basically a failsafe in case you have no equipment. It's just a slow speed single combat then. But if you do have equipment, it's still slow speed, but then it's a single combat, but you don't get hit back, which is pretty good. Having the equipment go back to your hand is not necessarily a bad thing, I would say, because you can replay the equipment to like pseudo heal your units. You can have them for these units that want, well, first off, you also have the unit in, or the equipment in hand for tumble, and all these units that, you know, want you to have equipment in hand. So I think it's a solid card. Again, though, you're in DEMACIA, and DEMACIA has so many strikes. I'm not sure if you play it. But yeah, that's all of the new cards. That's Vayne and her followers. She's fine. Like, that's it. It's okay. Like, I don't think any of these cards are gonna be OP and strong. I think, like, if you asked me, like, I think the strongest card actually in this expansion is probably Drum Solo, the draw spell. Like, this card, I think this is actually the strongest card out of all of the cards, champions included. But yeah, I don't think anything here with Vayne is very OP. I think it's all just solid, good stuff. I think Vayne and her playability is going to come down to, is there a good pairing for her? Is Vayne Pantheon good? Is it better than Pantheon Fiora? Is Vayne Jax actually good? Maybe Vayne Ornn can do something. Vayne Yi? Like a Demacia Ionia Tempo-y deck with Vayne Yi? That sounds kind of cute. You could play the Flow equipment, Soul Sword, I believe. I don't think you would. But yeah, I like this card. It seems fine. I'm probably not gonna play it though. It's just, in my opinion, it's kind of boring. I mean, it's Vayne. If you haven't played League before, if you've played League, you know what I'm probably referencing. But if you haven't played League, Vayne herself in League is kind of just a boring champ to play. She doesn't really do anything exciting and fun, and I guess they really couldn't do much with her in LOR. Anyway, though, that's gonna be it. Can't wait to play the new set. I'm gonna be playing a lot of Seraphine. Like, Seraphine is the champ I will be playing the most, and maybe a little bit of Varus. Probably not that much Vayne, but maybe. But yeah, I'd love to hear your opinion on Vayne. Maybe you think I'm underrating her, and you think she's actually really fun, and you just disagree with me. Or you think I'm overrating some of these cards. I don't think there's any card I'm praising too highly here from Vayne. Maybe you disagree and think the Harpy's really bad and trash because it's 6 mana or something. Maybe you don't think Elkin's a good 1-drop. Maybe you think Zealous Ranger Knight's actually a good card. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Vayne and her followers, and how you would build Vayne, because I think she's a very flexible champion, can go into a lot of decks, and I'd love to hear your ideas with Vayne. And if you guys just enjoyed the video in general, of course, I'd love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below. It always helps me and always helps out the channel. And if you guys want to keep up with Legends of Runeterra content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel as well. And if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zenitton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all again once more for watching this video. And until I see you guys in the next one, bye.